We'll wait till they sit down. If we, are we on? When? If we could get seated, we'll start the meeting. Give you a chance to do what you're doing there. Okay, we'll start the meeting. Today is welcome to the, what's the date today? April 29th Townhall meeting of the Barefoot Bay Recreation District Board of Trustees. We have a simple agenda today. We will start out by, thank you. We will start out by having the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Loveland, how about leading us, please? Thank you, sir. Next, Mr. Gruner, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gruno's here. Mr. Morrissey. Mr. Nugent. Mr. Mino.
Here.
We also have with us John Coffey, our community manager, Stephanie Brown, our district clerk, and I don't see anybody else. Chairman Mino, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Again, I believe this is the first of the quarterly, I believe it was the quarterly town hall meetings we agreed we were going to hold, correct? So we have no agenda, really. It is open to the audience, and we do have some slips here from people who indicated they wish to speak. But after that, it's simply open to everyone. This is a town hall meeting, and it will be open. So let's start first with Mr. Jack Reddy. And again, remember to push the button up there and identify yourself and give your address.
Jack Reddy, 806 Tamarin. I want to try and interweave two different topics. Mr. Mino has recommended that you folks take a look at our legal fees. I see a situation where our DOR enforcement sets up for a lot of long legal fees. There's 9,000 people in Barefoot Bay. All but 2% of them obey the rules, keep their dwelling nice and clean, and when they do get a violation, they take care of it within 30 days. There is a group that strings this out forever, sometimes a year and a half, and Rich Armington's people go back and forth, and then that we end up sending it to a lawyer, and then that aggrieved person comes crying to you men and said, I want relief. I don't want to pay my fees or fines. I'm recommending that this board look at a situation where after 90 days and someone does not come into compliance, that you set up some kind of a fining system, $1 a day, $2 a day, and then dispense with this idea of forgiveness on these legal-related problems. I feel that would lower the cost of Mr. Armington's regime. It would lower the cost with Cliff Reppinger, and I strongly recommend that we sit down and look at that carefully so that those who are doing the right thing do not feel that someone is getting a special privilege. At the last 3 Board of Trustees meetings that I could attend, at least one person got up and said they were against forgiving these legal fees. So I would like that to be considered. Lastly, another point is that our screen and agenda is not very clear for those of us who are aged, have trouble seeing, and have trouble reading. So I would be glad to donate $25 to John Coffey to get bigger prints. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Again, the board, this board wanted this town hall meeting. I believe you can make a comment, do whatever you'd like here. I would, or do you want to just listen to everybody first? People really just get up and talk. But I think one of the things that people should understand, and when you talk about forgiveness, at least as far as I know, I don't think I have ever voted to give forgiveness to an owner of a home who ran up a bill with us and then just said, well, I don't want to pay this, and will you forgive the loan? The only time we've looked at these, as far as I'm concerned, has been when they are tax deed sales, and in those instances, the people who own the homes are gone. They're out of it. We're not forgiving them. We're forgiving someone who wants to buy the home, come in and put a brand new property on it, and take care of the property. But in the case, for instance, somebody buys a property for a lot for $20,000 or whatever. This county is selling that. They're selling that in tax deed sale. And so they buy that property, and now the person who buys it finds out that he's got $4,000 he has to pay because the grass wasn't cut. It isn't that person's fault that the grass wasn't cut. He's going to put a brand new home on there and make this look nice. So I understand the concern that people have about forgiving, and I don't remember us, at least in my 2 years on the board, I don't remember us forgiving someone, a homeowner, who rang the bill up. We've forgiven people who bought these things in tax deed sales, and the person who owns that home is out of it. He's gone. So, sure, Elaine, go ahead.
From experience with people who
Elaine, why don't you get up at the podium?
From experience, from people who do buy tax deed homes, that type of thing, they do their diligence. They know that there are liens on it.
Oh, I understand that.
So when they buy it, they know that they are there. So
Right.
I think there's kind of that part of you that says, well, you knew it was there.
Sure.
You should have included that in your costs.
Sure, but I just wanted to make clear that we're not forgiving the homeowner who ran that bill up. We're only, in my experience, I've only looked at the people who bought it. I understand they knew it was there, and if it was me, I'd go back and say, can you forgive this? I didn't ring this up. I just want to make sure people understand that, because the other day, some people asked me about it, and they thought we were trying to forgive a homeowner who rang the bill up. When we voted it down, we voted not to forgive that bill. They thought we were talking about the homeowner. We weren't. We were talking about someone who bought that home in a tax deed sale. And so people do not understand it. I agree with you that that's the way it works, but people just don't understand it. So I guess someone sent me a letter yesterday and said, one of the things we have to do is we have to educate people about exactly what is going on. And I just add this comment so that people do understand there's two differences there. There are two different things. I'm sorry. So next on the list is, let's go.
Mike.
Nancy, yeah.
I'm
sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to comment on I think that it might be worth our while. The board for a very long time has been forgiving of some of these costs or liens or non-liens, whatever, because many times we don't get the lien put on the property. And so therefore maybe they don't see it. If we don't have a proper lien on the property, then whoever buys it isn't going to see it. They're going to find out that it's due at the point of closing, that this money is due. The thing is that I think that we should take a look at these properties that we have forgiven in the past and see how many of them did generate a new home and improvement. That might make it a little bit more palatable. Because at this point, I couldn't sit here and say that I know of any one of those that we have forgiven that have a new home on it currently.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Good point.
And so I think that we assume that that's what they're doing. We assume that that's the way it's working. And I think that if we could just look at that and prove that out, we'd feel a little bit more comfortable in going forward and making these decisions and not making them blindly.
I agree completely, Randy. Maybe we'll have to figure out some way to do that, but that'd be a very excellent point so we could see how many homes have been put up.
My thought is some of these folks are buying these lots, getting the waiver from us for the lien, then turning around and flipping that lot and making a profit at it. I believe that, just like Elaine said, with due diligence, you know that you have a lien on that property. And I just think that you're going into it eyes wide open, and that when we start forgiving that, and I understand where you're coming from, Mike, as far as it's not the current property owner, but that current property owner has walked into this eyes wide open.
And they do, and again, my only argument to that is that when we put a lien on someone's property, whether they've lost the property or it ends up being lost or they still have it, why are we putting the lien there? We're putting the lien there to punish the person who rang up the debt with us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be putting a lien on it. We're putting a lien on for something we have to do, and we're going to make that homeowner pay for that when he sells that home. Again, my point is when the property's lost, it becomes a little different situation, and it brings in what Randy talked about, that we should look and see how many times these properties have in fact been improved, or have they just been bought and flipped and things happen. So anyway, anybody else? Yes, Mr. Nugent.
Yeah, what have we considered at the property sale to turn around and wait until a new home has been constructed, or if they're going to flip the property and sell it as a profit, the lien still remains intact. Otherwise, there's no forgiveness. There would be a consideration of forgiveness if, in fact, the property was improved upon.
Good point. I think the idea, though, is, as I said, after our meeting the other day, I got a couple of letters about this right away, and I think it's a matter of making sure everybody does understand exactly what we are doing when we do this stuff, because a lot of people do not understand it. Anybody else? Nancy?
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think Jim makes a point there, but I think that we would need Cliff to weigh in on that, because I don't know what the state of Florida has on carrying a lien forward from property to property.
Well, I don't think they can even take control of the property until all the liens and everything are paid. So it would be an after effect kind of thing, I believe.
I would think what Jim's talking about is they pay that lien up front, so they get clear deed to the property.
Right.
And then when they finally put a home on that property, then they can apply for a refund.
Right. Again, it's something that we have to look at and consider and make sure we keep an open mind on each individual case. Because I'm one of those people who, all the years I've done these kinds of things, I just don't believe there's precedence. There's only legal precedence. Precedent means nothing. You vote yes or no on each and every item based on the merits of the item. So, anybody else? Are we ready to go to Nancy? Please.
Okay, Nancy Isley, Barefoot Boulevard. First of all, I want to thank you all for having this meeting. I appreciate the fact that we can interact with each other and you can hear what the residents have to say about it. As far as this is concerned, I had a question in my mind. Is there any way that we or the lawyer or whatever can work with the county, that the county pays us out of that initial process, what the liens are that we have?
Say that again. I missed that. I'm not sure.
Is there any way that when the property is sold, those liens that we have on that property could be paid to us from the county when they sell the property? That they would reimburse us for those liens?
Yeah, questions there. I guess we would have to go legal and see exactly how this works. I'm not sure exactly.
Well, I'm
how
just
this
thinking
works. Yeah.
that's right at the very beginning, at
Sure.
the outset of it, when it's sold. If we could have them include that in their sales, that would be a big help. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I'm going in order here, so if there's comments or whatever, I have Mary Miller.
Mary Miller, 906 Jacaranda. Listening to this, it answers a lot of my questions. But when the new owner goes in there, they do know that there's a lien against it. So before the new owner buys that, they should pay that. And the first thing, I don't understand, how can the first owner sell this property if there's a lien against that property? How did he get clear title? When you go to sell a piece of property, don't you have to have a clean thing against it, or are we not writing it up, or that's my question. But like I said, I don't think if you have a bill, you should pay it. That's all I have to say. I just don't understand about this. I call it free gratis because I think some of these people have watched these meetings, see who comes, and they think, oh, I can get away with it. I don't care. And that's why we have these problems that the board can't understand some things, because we do not have enough of people attending these meetings. But you go out somewhere, they want you to listen to their whines. I say, if you're really interested in Barefoot Bay, please come to the meetings. Thank you.
Very, very good point. The last point, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 people here. Again, I think we only allow 35, is it, John, right now? 30 or whatever. And again, we have 10 people, and it is an open dialogue. It's open, and we only have 10 people showed up, so that is unfortunate. John, any comment or anything you want to make on that point or not? No?
Well, I do get a lot of comments. People watch it live stream. We don't have the best way of monitoring the numbers, but as far as the issue about the liens
Right.
and the sales, there is no requirement to pay liens when you can transfer a property to a quitclaim and the liens go to the new owner, and that's what some of these things have happened. Most people, when they buy real estate, they go through a title company and they do a title search, get title insurance, so they have clean property, but not everybody does that.
Right. Elaine?
My issue is different. Several months ago, or 2 months ago, I think, you had your budget workshop. And at that time, a resident brought up the thought of increasing our one-time recreational fee at the purchase of a home from what we have now, which is, you went up $50, so it's $800, correct? The resident said, consider raising it to $15. I have really done my homework as far as inquiring with residents of all economic backgrounds, people who are brand new at their houses, people who have been in their houses for a long time, about increasing that, because it would, at the last couple meetings, I did hear that we can't do certain things because we don't have enough money. This is an income that is produced at the purchase of a home. It is part of your closing costs. It would not have stopped me from buying my home at all. The $750, I didn't think twice about it. It is a one-time fee. That difference, again, I'm going from the meetings, the average purchase a month is between 38 to 50 homes. Last month it was 50 homes. If you broke that down, that is a huge amount of money that would come in yearly to the district for us to be able to use in different areas that we are lacking right now. We are currently scheduled at our increases. Mr. Tobias has cut our corners that way so that we cannot increase our yearly recreational fee, but more than 1 point something percent. Right, yeah. So my thought is, can you give it more consideration to really look at this? I think you could, I probably asked the people here, the 10 people, I was hoping there was going to be 35 or 40. Just a show of hands, how many would it have stopped you if you had a one-time fee of $1,500, knowing that every year after you're going to be paying $750 or $800? Would it have stopped you from buying in this bay? Question? Anybody? I'm in favor of it. Oh, well, would it have stopped any of you? That's the point. And it doesn't result in anyone that has a home here, it doesn't put pressure on them at all for their homes. If you buy a second home, for instance, we are considering selling and buying another home in the Bay, it still doesn't affect me. I do not have to pay that fee again. So I would ask that the board would look at that position again and look at the numbers and listen to yourselves on these meetings when you say, where's that money coming from? Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Comments, questions, responses? It's all open, folks. I think it's a good point. I think it's something we can worth looking at again. I'm not saying I'm in favor of it, but it's definitely something we could look at. You're right. They probably could generate a lot of money. The only downside you look at is and you all may not know that, but you get so many complaints from people about what they pay money for and what they get, and they're just mad as hell about what we think we do up here. And so it's just one of those things where you're just trying not to tack on another chunk of money on some people, but it's worth looking at. Questions, comments, anybody?
I'd like to see it go on a workshop and a future workshop. It doesn't affect anybody that's already here, but I think that with the situation with Mr. Tabaya, with our CPI situation, I think we're going to have to amortize some of those costs out over the newcomers.
Well, I initially wasn't for it, but I am. The more I hear about it and the more I see it and the more I speak with the homeowners, because it doesn't affect the homeowners right now. And as far as the people who complain about what they pay for and what they don't pay for and what the board does, I've been sitting here 2.5 years, Mike. I don't think they're going to change. It's the
No,
same,
I don't say they are either. It's just one of those things of,
it's the same.
trying to
20
hear
gonna
all
do
those
the same
complaints
thing.
again and we're tacking something else on, that's all.
Mike.
Just please identify yourself so we know who we're talking to.
That's the frustration of what people are going through.
Could you just identify yourself so we know who
I'm
we're
sorry.
talking to?
Fran Selecki, 910 U Street. People are frustrated because nothing is open the way they want it to be open. The clubs are not functioning yet. The lounge is not open yet the way they want it. They don't want to hear reason as to why things are like this. And it'll straighten out eventually. There are a few that do complain all the time, but they're the few. They're not the multitude.
The only comment I have to that, Elaine, is what are you buying with that money? What are you paying for?
The recreational fee membership that first year.
Your social, well, it's your social fee that you're paying. So, and are we increasing anything socially? Are they getting any more for their money?
They don't have anything. They're buying into the program.
I understand it. I've been here a long time. I know what it. Hey, I think I paid $250.
My point, though, it wouldn't affect you. It doesn't affect even the.
I agree with you on that. I'm just saying and one of the things, one of my pet peeves is that we.
Undervalue what we offer.
Okay.
We undervalue it, Nancy.
My pet peeve is what we do is we're paying for the social aspect of it, but we don't have to show, and that's why we have badges. We don't have to show our badge when we use the facilities all the time. Certain ones we have to all the time, but a lot of them we don't. And honestly, we have a lot of people that come in from the outside that are making more people in the room, and then we want us to enlarge the room because we don't have enough space. That's my thing.
Could you clarify that?
Well, let me put it this way. When I started coming here, you couldn't use any facility without a badge. You had to have a badge. That's what you're buying. That's your social fee. And that's what you're showing to say that I paid my social fee, I'm in good standing. And yet, like I say, we don't have that in force at this point. And there's a lot of people that come from outside that participate in a lot of our activities that we don't charge them anything. It's nice if they're honest and go get a pass or something, but that doesn't happen all the time.
I'm not sure people use our facilities without having to pay to go to the
Oh,
pool
yes,
or
they
whatever.
do. Yes, they do.
Well, again, that's arguable.
Just the pool area. Building A is open to the public.
Tell him.
Well, let me answer your question on what you would do with the increase. We conservatively looked at 38 to 50 homes a month. That would bring in about $300,000 a year. We've got a couple issues facing us here in the near future. One, our health insurance is going to go up for the employees. Two, our power costs are going to go up shortly. Three, we're constrained by Mr. Tabaya and his CPI rule. And four, the state has the new amendment that we're ratcheting ourselves up to $15 an hour minimum wage come 5 years. So sooner or later, based on the constraints that we can't raise the CPI, we're going to have more funds coming in from some other area. That extra money might not buy you an extra walking path, but it's going to help cushion our financial needs of the future.
Fran, you're up next anyway, so Fran
Okay.
Selecki.
What I wanted to find out was, Jeff has given his one morning a week from 10 to 12. Randy held a community meeting, which was well-attended, unfortunately not here. I'd like to know if the other board members are going to do something similar.
Similar to what?
What either Jeff is doing or what Randy did.
I'm sorry, which is what?
Randy held a community meeting.
At the CVO office they held?
Yes,
Oh,
like,
okay.
Jeff has been every Thursday morning in the CVO office from 10 to 12. I've been in there a couple of times to speak with him. When Randy had his gathering of residents, I went. It was well-attended, and there was a lot of good ideas that came out of that. And I think maybe the other board members, the other three of you, should do something similar. Thank you.
Again, I'll speak for myself. The board members can do what they want. At some point, I may end up doing that, but I'm not looking to do that in the foreseeable future. I really don't need to take another day out of all the meetings I attend and what I do now to go and sit down at a meeting. So other board members, you can do what you want. Jim, Mr. Morrissey, either way, I'm not looking to do that.
At this time, I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
My wife was in the hospital, but in the future, I would look at it. Sure.
I'll consider.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Anybody else talk about anything? Sorry, go ahead, Lane, go ahead.
This is not a question or a comment, it's publicity. May 12th, meet and greet is Lakeside, put on by the CVO, and it will introduce management and what, in each one of the board members. There will be all the clubs, I think we've got 36 clubs that have signed up to be there as well, so they will be there from 5:30 to 7 with presentations, paperwork, anything you want to know about the clubs, they will be there. At 7 o'clock, we will have the the meet and greet where we will introduce the BOT. You don't have to say anything unless you want to. And then we will bring in the management team, which deserves a lot of respect, and we hopefully will get a good turnout. We also have, during 5:30 to 7 o'clock, the open mic group that meets on Tuesday afternoons. They're just going to do a little bit of music while people are wandering around. So if you haven't been to that on Tuesday afternoons, it is amazing. We have residents in the Bay here that have the most amazing talents. And it is so fun to see that it is resident-driven. This is not something that is planned by the CVO or BBRD. They just get together with their saxophones and trombones and guitars and banjos and their voices, even cowbells, on Tuesday afternoons from 1 to 3. A washboard, 1 to 3, right next to pool 2. I was in pool 2 when it started, and people in the pool were just delighted. They didn't have to get out and sit under the trees. They just sat in the pool and listened to the music. Anyway, they will be there also, so please, if you are interested at all in finding out more about the Bay, come on out. You've been stuck in the house with COVID for how long? Come on out May 12th from 5:30. May 12th, Wednesday, yeah. Wednesday, May 12th.
Elaine, so you said you have 35 clubs are going to get up and make presentations, one right after another?
No. They will have tables set up.
Don't smile, Steph. Steph
No.
just said, I'm not going.
No, they will have tables set up all around.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So before we have the presentation.
I see.
So
Okay.
that they can meet people.
I thought you had
and-
said 35 clubs were going to get up and make a presentation one
No,
after
no,
another.
no.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. But they will be there to answer questions of any of the residents that come on out. So,
Well, I will say, Mike, that 4 years ago, when the old, or 6 years ago actually, when the old then HOA did the orientation, they literally had all the clubs get up and do a
Right.
presentation.
I'd have a tough time. Very good. Thank you. I appreciate that information. We'll be there. I have no other papers. No one else signed anything.
Well, I got a topic I'd like to at least
Sure.
hash out around the board. I've had at least 3 people in various ways suggest that, one, we extend the walking trail out by the Oaks. Another suggestion was pave the walking trail out by the Oaks. Another was maybe we could re-gravel it and make a figure 8 out there by the Oaks. What's the thought on the board of that project, the viability of that project? I could tell you my thought is I would not pave it. The moment you pave it, we're going to have bicycles, scooters, and golf carts on it, and the walkers are going to be unhappy. So my thought would be if we were to improve it, I would go with crushed gravel. But again, is there any appetite to do anything further with that walking trail out there in the Oaks?
You know, I've had that brought up to me, and everybody can jump in. And I've been on the trail and I've walked it. And I just don't see the reason why we would do it. I have no idea why we'd want to do anything there. If it was mine, I wouldn't do anything to it. So I guess I'm not in favor of it.
I'm really not in favor. I mean, it's going to cost money. And I think we have projects with a higher priority.
Mr. Chairman, a couple years ago, it was brought up to put signs around out there by that trail of different things, the different kinds of birds and fish and things around. Has anything been thought about that's just dropped by the wayside to continue that suggestion that was made?
I'm sorry.
They were put up. They're out there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't go out it, so thank you.
Nancy, you need to walk that trail.
I know.
I mean, the only thing I was thinking of is if we had crushed rock, maybe we could get Sheriff Ivy's work crew to spread it out. You know, I mean, they went up and painted the Malabar Firehouse. I mean, sometimes they're good workers.
It currently consists of crushed coquina. So when you say crushed rock, are you meaning crushed concrete, or I'm not exactly sure what's
Whatever you could spread easily
That's
that
crushed
would drain, but still pack.
we currently use crushed coquina there, crushed concrete on the golf path, on the golf course, Gunther Bypass, and clay down by East Lake. We were going to convert the clay to crushed concrete, did a test sample and had a lot of negative feedback from people using it, so we went back to clay.
Have we looked into that, into the material that they use on playgrounds, the tire material? I guess when you fall, you don't hurt yourself as bad.
Not for the walking trail.
No, I mean, have we looked at it for anything?
We use it, we have it at our playground.
Is it expensive?
Not sure. It's probably not cheap. You probably are going to have an issue of getting it to adhere if you're only putting a 5-foot strip down for half a mile.
I got a little different subject. subject that I'd like to talk about. Driving in the bay, there's a sign saying 25 miles an hour. A lot of people don't adhere to it, but a lot of people exceed it by double the amount of speed, allowed in the bay. I'm presently working on contacting the officials and try to do something about it because I'm affected by it personally. A lot of people around me are complaining to me. And I had mentioned at one time in the bot meeting, matter of fact, to please reduce your speed, to the community people that live here. And it's not always the visitors, it's not always the commercial people, but they do contribute a lot to it, My thoughts would probably suggest contacting the Bridge Authority or whatever department it is in Brevard County and try to get not speed bumps. I know that's out because the fire department wouldn't like that anyway, and that's a real nuisance. But a couple of stop signs along Midway and other areas that are having difficulty with the speeders, which is quite a bit, I think that would be a good idea. To reduce the speed limit, not reduce the speed limit, but try to lawfully have somebody in here to watch them, if they, control them, because they're getting out of hand right now. Yeah. In the morning and in the evening, especially Midway, because I live on Midway, I experienced that. But on Miko Road, they come down from Babcock, and they're doing 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, and they just pass us by like we're standing still. They go right down to US 1. I know there's currently now, law enforcement is monitoring that now, okay, as well as Midway. But I'd like to get it throughout the bay where the main thoroughfares are, like Bedford Bay Boulevard, coming in from US 1. They just continue thinking they're on, US 1, 55 miles an hour at times. It's ridiculous. That's my, goal, to see if we can kind of educate.
Yeah, well, I guess, I think in the past people it's been brought up many times and people contact, and I'm not sure what you do. Your last resort is you contact the sheriff's departments and ask them to patrol more and do more enforcement, but if they don't do it, I'm not sure what else we would do. What would we do?
I would suggest to put a couple of stop signs down Midway at least. That's like Speedway. It's almost a mile long with nothing.
Stop signs on Midway?
Yeah.
For just the cross streets? They're all county
they're all
roads.
county roads, yeah.
We don't control any of them. They're all county roads.
They're all county roads are bad.
Yeah, I think he's talking about a four-way stop halfway between the convenience center and Micco Road on one of those cross streets.
I don't know how you get the county or anybody to put stop signs
Well, I was
up. I
told
think
I
they
had-
have to have traffic surveys and everything, and
I was told that I had to contact the Commissioner, Toby. And it starts from there, and it goes down to the Department of Bridge and Roads. And it's a process, it's a long process, but ultimately at the end, before somebody gets killed, walking down that street or walking their dog or just going to the school bus, because the school bus picks up in that area, I see something coming, and I don't want it to happen. There's been a bad accident in Miko and Midway. That's all
I
gotta say.
thought we were going to sign Mr. Klosky to go out there with the little orange vest on and hold that
One
sign up.
sign. One sign that says 25 miles an hour.
He wants a fine. Then you take a percentage.
They've been doing that. They've been last week they caught 2 senior citizens going down there doing 50.
Really? Yeah.
They got them. Another truck. They got another. I watch. I see it. They're around, and there's one area specifically down in by the electrical plant there, by the railroad tracks. They get them right there coming down from Babcock because they're doing 55.
It's something we should look into, I suppose, to
Really?
see what it takes and what it involves to get traffic control or speed signs or whatever, stop signs. But it's definitely something we could look
I think it
into.
would be a good idea.
Mr. Chairman, question. Somebody who does not live in Barefoot Bay comes in and purchases a vacant lot. Is there an assessment on that purchase?
What do you mean? Do they pay the social fee that we were talking about?
Correct.
Yeah, everybody does when they buy a lot. Everybody does when they buy a piece of property.
Whether there's a home on it or
Exactly.
not.
Exactly. Don't tell me you didn't have a chance to speak up. Aha, see, we got somebody.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Dominic. I'm on 921 Periwinkle Drive Circle, and I have to say that these town hall meetings really give a lot of food for thought. I think many of these people here have some really good ideas, and I think sharing these ideas with everybody gives us the idea to at least roll it around like a pearl and just feed on it. I hear a lot out there. I've been here about 5 years. I'm not a resident per se. I'm a homeowner. And this gives me the first forum that I can get up and I can speak my mind, as you might say. Not ready today, but I will be. But the thing is that I would like to see more of this, and I think the more that people get involved, you will see these people fill in the seats that are empty. I think right now you have a lot of homeowners that are not here at this time. A lot have gone home, or they haven't come down because of COVID reasons. So the fall, I think that you'll have probably a good showing down here. I know each and every one of you hear from many people via emails and stuff of that, and it's hard to disseminate what you're hearing and what we hear. Because on these town meetings that you have, on the board meetings themselves, you don't speak much about what you hear out in the community. What you hear is what's on the agenda. This gives us an idea and what has already been spoken and is probably already being worked on, or is probably has an idea out there. That gives us an understanding so that we can see how to help you improve the Bay. Because the Bay is a jewel. I have to tell you, when we came into this Bay, I was amazed. And I know that everybody that is coming after me feels the same way. And we want to keep it a jewel. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to go back to an earlier topic. Talked about fines. We had looked at fines. In fact, I think Cliff had done some preliminary work on fines, and we kind of decided that wasn't the way to go, but I can't remember why.
State law prohibits it.
Yeah, and there was when we even discussed it, I mean, there was, I don't think I heard the board being called Big Brother ever more than we did when we talked about fines. I think we absolutely have to look, and we're going to do that. We're going to have a workshop coming up in May, I believe, when we're going to talk about the legal things and some issues. And again, I want everyone to understand, we're not complaining about our legal representation or our attorneys or anything like that. We're simply going to talk about the way we use legal, the way we use our attorneys for what we do, and how many times we use them, et cetera, and what we do, what we get for it, that kind of thing. And one of the things that at that meeting I know I'm going to want to discuss with Cliff and to have a very good, thorough understanding and Randy has brought this up many times, to get a really good understanding of what we do with the DOR, which is like our fining system, when we do liens and we pass these things on to him for legal action. And we do have to have a better understanding of that, of exactly what's happening, what we get for it, how much we spend for it, and those kinds of things. So, the fine issue was brought up one time, and it kind of died because I don't think it ever was something we thought we could do.
Well, credit for credit due. They've had to cancel a couple violations committee meetings because people came into compliance.
Sure.
And so whatever they're doing over there, or whatever potion they're drinking, keep doing that, because that's the way to get at it. And I also think, in having served on the violations committee for 3 years, I think that they've gotten a little bit better in the fact that we don't go right to legal lawsuit, that we serve people, at least give them a 21-day, warning that a lawsuit is pending. And I think if we keep it out of the courts, I think it cuts down on the legal.
Anyone else? Steph, what would you like to talk about?
Was the birthday cake?
Right. By the way, to the lady who was up, I forget your name, I'm sorry. We do have these town hall meetings scheduled.
Yes, I've seen them.
Yeah, there are, I think there's 4 scheduled for the year. I think the next one's in July, is it? I believe. I don't remember exactly. I think it's July. Questions, comments?
This is great.
Issues? What's that?
This is great.
Okay, are we ready to?
More people out. Yeah, more people out.
Yeah. And just, again, a comment was made about people showing up, and I made a comment too. We do get a number of people at our board meetings. Mostly, it's been pretty well attended, even though we only allow 30 in the room. So, and as you said, each one of us, at least in my case, I do get a lot of contact from residents about things, letters, emails, phone calls. Mr. Reddy calls me mainly after every board meeting, and we have a little discussion of things, which is fine. I'm happy to do that ever. I've mentioned many times I'm not going to sit down and start writing letters back out to people because I'm just not going to take the time to do that. But an email or a phone call, I absolutely answer every single time. And I think the rest of the board does that also. So
Yeah, I encourage people to use email.
absolutely.
That is,
I'm not going to start buying envelopes and stamps and writing letters longhand and stuff. My
mean,
secretaries used to do that. I'm not going to do it.
and email is right there on the bb.org page. You can just contact us, and I'm in my email at least 3 times a week.
And I think people have to understand also that you may send an email or phone call, and you may have a completely different opinion or idea than I may have, or that Jeff may have, or Randy, or whatever. But that doesn't mean we still don't want to hear it. We still want to hear that. We still want to know it. I was joking to John earlier, I used to be a school superintendent, and people used to always say, well, you don't listen to me. The difference is we listen to everybody, we just simply don't agree all the time. We don't agree with what that person said. But we still want to hear it. Even by those emails, phone calls, whatever, we still want to hear what the people are saying out there. And usually when we come to a board meeting, at least in my case, I have a pretty good idea of what I think people want on a certain issue. Sometimes I go with it, and sometimes I go against what I think those people want. And so that's just kind of the way a representative board or representative government works, and we're always happy to get that information from residents.
I think a lot of it is education, and I think John's about to embark on a way to help. I would say the majority of my phone calls and emails have to do with the fact that the residents don't understand what is a Barefoot Bay responsibility and what is a Brevard County responsibility. And I think there's a lot of confusion with that. And I think John's going to start hitting a little bit of that each week and peak of the week as to who does what. I would say probably the number one complaint that I have gotten is the fact that the average resident doesn't realize that animal control falls to the county and not to the bay.
And that's a very good point. And we've talked about this many times. Even last year, Randy, we mentioned education of residents so many times on issues. And in the last 3 or 4 tattlers, I have to write an article every month for that tattler. Mr. Klosky, I think, started that, which was a bad idea. No. But I have to do it every month. And if you've noticed, if you've read them, if anybody reads them, most everything I've talked about has been trying to educate people about how we operate, what we do, what the responsibilities are, and educate them about issues. Not opinions, not our opinions, but just educate so they understand. And I think that is a big, big issue for people. Okay, we're not going to sit here all day. Anybody else? Final thoughts, questions? Trustees, any final comments, questions? Can I have a motion to adjourn? So move, we're adjourned.